Joshua Smith here, and welcome to the GSD Mode podcast. Now get shit done and smash that subscribe button now. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview. And you guys say we've got another special guest here on the podcast. Our guest, just to give you guys a quick background before we jump on into this actual interview here. So our guest is the broker, owner, and founder of Century 21, the Seyboth group, or the Seyboth team, has sold over 500 units, resulting in over $140 million in gross volume sales in 2019 and in 2020. Number one realtor nationwide by the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends for 2019. Named the top in the top 10 national real estate producers by the Wall Street Journal in 2018. Was recognized as the top realtor for Keller, Willams Realty between 2016 to 2019. And, KW is the juggernaut with over 170,000 agents globally.
Yeah.
Is also the host of his own TV show, All Things Real Estate. Man, Kyle, I'm stoked and honored to have you on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hey, thank you, sir. Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, no, dude, you're out there crushing it, man. You're doing huge things, making things happen, dude. And before we go into all the amazing things that you're doing today, man, I'm always really intrigued in our guest journeys that led them here in the first place. We were on the clocks, dude. Like, how this real estate journey in the first place? What did you do before, and what led you here?
So I started out full-time in finance, worked at a really lower level, like very beginning position in Boston, Massachusetts, commuted about an hour and a half every day there and back, and did that for, kind of moved up and around and trying to find my niche. Did that for about 10 years. After 10 years of that, in between that, I should say, about 7 years in, decided that I was going to get into real estate. And I started to do real estate as a hobby, looking to buy a multifamily, and said, okay, let me try to buy a multifamily and see what this thing looks like. Bought the multifamily, and I'll never forget, looked on the closing statement, and I said, wow, how much did this woman make that helped me? And I saw the number and I was like, holy, wow, that's crazy. That's a crazy number. So at the end of the day, I was like, let me kind of figure out what this woman does to get to this. Like, how did this work? And then got my real estate license the next year, sold 7 properties part-time my first year. And then last year, just to be clear, did 500 plus sides. That is just me. That's not a team. That's just my sides. That's no one else.
Yeah. That is insane, dude. That's about the same volume that my team's doing, but I got like 24 full-time agents. Right?
Yeah, that's just one person.
Yeah, that is insane, dude. So before we get, because again, man, I know that I got a lot of questions. I know our audience is gonna have a lot of questions, and how you pull off that kind of volume and how you built this amazing business. But before that, man, I'm curious with what would you think were, because obviously, dude, you got in this business and you crushed it and started hitting the ground off running and so forth. And, I think a lot of times we don't always pay attention to what those foundations were that led us, that we experienced, that kind of gave us the skill sets before we even entered this business. And with your previous path, being in finance and so forth, I mean, what were some of those things that you learned before getting into real estate that you feel really laid a great foundation to allow you to jump into this business and really propel you? And the reason why I'm asking this is, like, look, if somebody's thinking about this industry and maybe that's 6 months, 12 months before they're able to jump into it and go full time or whatever, like what are some of those critical skill sets that they could be working on now that could really, then once they get that license, allow them just to jump in and start hitting that ground running?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I learned is, number one, be truthful to who you are. It sounds simplistic, but if you don't know who you are and you're living this fantasy world or this lie or trying to be the salesy, slick person, you need to be who you are and relate to who you can relate to. And what I mean by that is your clientele will be, is going to be a certain demographic, socioeconomic background, whatever that looks like. Capitalize on what that is that you can relate to, and don't try to fit a square peg in a circular hole. At the end of the day, too many people try to be the one size fits all for everyone, and that's not always the case. So, figure out who you are, what you're about, and how you're looking to grow your business, right? This business is belly to belly combat. It's relationship based. It's getting leads, it's turning leads, it's converting leads, but it's turning that stuff into a relationship. So a lot of the things that I really worked out in the beginning were the ability to work with so many different people of so many different backgrounds because I had a diverse background growing up. So that diverse background gave me abilities that many people don't have to really be able to be in the mix with someone that's 70 years old to someone that's 22 years old and be able to hold my own, hold my weight, and provide a service with the unparalleled level of customer service that, you know, you're not going to get from anyone else.
Yeah, I love it, man. Such powerful advice, dude. So, all right, man, you got licensed, you jump in the business. You mentioned that your first year was part-time. You know, I think you said you did about 7 transactions and so forth at that time. Then when you jumped into it, decided to go full-time. So the first question that I have for you is, because again, man, we get realtors at all different levels watching this podcast. You know, I get reached out from a lot of people that are watching this for information, that are thinking about getting this business, from new agents, part-time agents to, you know, team leaders and so forth. And, you know, but a lot of questions that I get from people are that are part-time, because a lot start off that way. And I guess that it's the most risk-averse way to kind of do it, you know, right? How did you know? Because this is the question I get all the time of how did you know, like, when that time was that to pull, like, it was the time to cut the cord, dude, and make this that full-time gig for you?
So I'm gonna tell you, to be honest, I was probably one of the most risk-averse persons with this decision out of anyone. What happened was I didn't cut the cord until I did 191 transactions part-time. I did 191 transaction sides, working a full-time job, making a really good wage as an equity analyst for a hedge fund down in Providence, Rhode Island. And it took me to the point where my income was 7 times greater. Okay. It was 7 times greater in real estate than it was from my full-time gig. And it still was hard to cut the cord. Because I grew up I had a mentality of kind of like that was force-fed and brainwashed into you, that you go to work, you work 9 to 5, you get a paycheck, you go home, you get benefits. Like, that's the goal. That's the end game. But I didn't realize this whole other side of the business where you have an entrepreneurial spirit and you have no ceiling. You can become whatever that is that you wish to become. You can make whatever that is you wish to make. But at the end of the day, you can't. At the end of the day, you can't do that if you're stuck by a ceiling. You don't have the ability to think on your own.
What was it that clicked for you, man? Because it wasn't the money, you know, right? Because you said, you were making 7 times more. So it wasn't I wanted to wait until I replaced that income. Like, what was that defining moment, like that time where you knew it was like, what did it take to open up that awareness for you?
So it took me stopping for a minute and saying, what are you doing? Like, why are you giving time to something that's not equating to financial success that you can get when you're giving you're giving less time to this other thing that makes 7x. What sense does that make? To get benefits covered? So it took me time to understand and grow as a person, an individual, and a professional. And at the end of the day, after the light, once the switch went off, I said, I got this. I'm gonna take this thing to a whole nother level that nobody's ever done. And that's where it kind of hit me. And I was like, you can either go hard or go home. And I said, I'm going to go only way I know to go is go hard. So I'm going to go hard right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing to the top, and I'm going to ride this thing out and sacrifice whatever I need to sacrifice to get to my end goal.
Yeah, I love that. So what year was that you, you know, that you
2017,
cut that cord?
2016.
Okay, so 2016, was that your first full official year, or would that have been?
Yeah, no, I went half the year. Half the year.
I love that, dude. So then, all right, man. Now walk us through. So now that you're jumped in, you're full time, man. You've got all of your time, energy, and focus to be able to put in and invest into this craft where you're not having your 40, 50-hour work job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of walk us through, like, what were the changes that you made at that time? What was next?
So now it was like, oh shit, I got all this time left, right? So I got all this time left that I can do. Now it's fully transitioned that focus from the full-time gig into real estate. Now it's networking, meeting people, getting in front of people, buying leads, paying for leads, getting in front of leads, working on conversion, getting on the phone, getting third parties to help convert these cold calls, warm calls, lukewarm calls, whatever that was, fully attentive to this thing. The whole game changed. Full game changer over to here.
Yep.
So that's essentially what happened. It was a reallocation of time and resources, and the resources and time to something that truly had a passion for.
Yeah. So then, and I probably should ask this question before I just asked the last one. But going back to, because dude, you were doing massive amounts of volume when you were part-time. Now, and of course now you're still, right. How did you manage to do that much volume while you had this other full-time plus career, with this, for somebody that's maybe working 40, 50 hours a week, that's trying to make that pivot into real estate and have that side hustle, like how did you manage it? Right. Cause you obviously probably couldn't just drop everything at your other job to go out there and work with clients and so forth. Right.
No. So how I managed it was I used the Gary V approach, and anybody that's familiar with him, from 9 to 5, you pay the bills. From 5:01 to midnight, you go ahead and make some money. And that's what I was essentially doing, is I was living by that model, saying, hey, look, we've got 24 of these hours. I'm going to break the day up into three trimesters. I'm going to take the first 8, spend it on this, the second 8, spend it on this. I'm going to sleep 5, and the other 3, I'm going to do whatever with. So that's essentially how it kind of manifested.
Yep. Love it, dude. So then, all right, man. So, that really covers.
I'm going to switch you real quick. I'm going to switch you from, just give me 1 second. Okay.
We're good to go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, dude.
All right, good.
All
good.
Right,
sorry.
man.
I mean, just to apologize to everybody, but we had a flat tire, we improvised, and we're back.
Yeah, but dude, that shows your commitment and just your drive and your hustle. And like, look, I mean, we asked you, we went out there and saw your amazing production, and myself and my podcast manager reached out to you and your team to get you to come on here and share all your brilliance with all of us and whatever. And dude, like, you have a flat tire, middle of the winter, it's snowing on you, right? You're with the Uber, with the driver, bring you back to your office, and you still show up, dude. Like,
correct.
99.9% of any of our guests, I shouldn't say that, but most would have been like, hey, dude, I can't make it. We got to reschedule. You were like, screw it, man. And I'm sure that you approach everything in your life that same way, of honoring those commitments, making shit happen, and improvising all the punches. And, so it's awesome to experience, real time with you, dude. So, all right, man. So, if we start jumping into, you talked about breaking up those days in thirds, right? And, putting in that hustle, putting in that sacrifice. And I don't think that people are usually prepared for what it really takes to go out there and succeed in business, right? Like, they don't really know what they're fully signing up for, the blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice that it takes to launch that momentum. And, you talked about all of that, and you've done it, you're doing it. But then from more of a kind of a tactical standpoint, if you will, I mean, when it comes to that type of volume that you're doing, I don't know, because it hasn't been that long of a time. I mean, it's been
10 years. So 10 years. So 10 years. I'm going to stop you for a minute, because I think there's a big piece there that you hit that you don't even realize that you hit. I get probably at least one person a day. It was really a lot probably last year, and not so much with COVID. Once COVID hit, people kind of slowed down. I want to be you. Like, legit, I would get that one time a day. Some random Facebook person, some random person would call me and text me and email me, hey, I just want to be you, right? You see the units, you see the thing, whatever. And I would say to them, there's very few people that can sacrifice, that are willing to sacrifice, that are willing to go through what I went through in 10 years to get to this level. And very few people have a hyper level of focus that nothing will get in their way to get them to what this point is. So I always tell people to be careful when you say that, because there's so much more that comes with this that people don't understand. And at the end of the day, that's the part that for me, that's the differentiator, right? So that's the part where, yes, you can say you want to be Josh, you want to be Kyle, whatever, but do you really want to do that? Are you really willing to sacrifice what it takes? So keep going where you're going.
Yeah, no, I love that you circle back with that, dude. Because I mean, again, success doesn't come without sacrifice. The dope thing is we get to pick and choose what we're going to sacrifice. So,
Correct.
right, and look, we might have to cut out TV, alcohol, partying, get it,
Correct.
right, and but you can still, make sure the important things in life, or
Correct.
whatever that looks like, and but yeah, I love that you brought that up to make sure everybody understands that, dude, because it's not always the glamour that it seems to be, right?
Absolutely.
And the reality is anybody could go out there and if they want it bad enough, they do it, right? So speaking of that, dude, like what keeps you so driven? What keeps you so focused? What keeps you willing to sacrifice all these things? How have you been able to tap into that? Because good enough becomes worst enemy of greatness, right? And I find that usually if you're not clear enough on the reason of why you must accomplish the thing, why it's important to you, you will then succumb into all the reasons of why not to do the work.
Yeah, so that's a great question. The why for me is bigger than me. The why is to take an untapped potential that I was God given or whatever that is, or some reason why I'm here, and take it to a level that was where I'm supposed to be. So the why is to be the absolute best person I can be and be the best in my field forever and really be the best person surrounding real estate. At one point, it was the best agent ever. Boom, I got to that point. Now it's build generational wealth. I have 2 daughters. Build that generational wealth so that they're able to live a different lifestyle and they have something that's not just handed or given to them, but they have an opportunity to take something and add another brick and add another piece to that foundation that becomes something bigger than me. And it starts with me and continues to go. Now, at the end of the day, it's also a function of when you get to a certain level, there's the people that want to see you succeed and people that don't want to see you succeed. And you have to be able to sustain that level to prove both people, right? You prove one side right and one side wrong. The people that want to see you fail, prove them wrong. The people want to see you succeed, prove them right. We've been given this opportunity, and I have this opportunity that not many people have ever had, to be this person in real estate that really takes it to a whole nother level. So it's my job to continue to operate and work with super high level of focus and super high level of hours and manpower in this game. So that's what it comes down to. Extrapolate on something that you've been given and take advantage of it.
Yep. Love it, dude. Powerful stuff, man. So then and look, we can kind of take this whatever direction that you want to go, with, I guess, where I'm going with this next question of, I mean, so often I get agents that are like, oh, dude, like, what are the lead sources? What are this stuff? And a lot of times it's like, look, there is no best lead source. It really comes down to not the tactic, the strategy, and really mastering the fundamentals and so forth. And, throughout this 10-year journey, man, like what have you discovered are the most outside of mindset and that clarity, to be able to get that drive that you have from a kind of a functional operational standpoint of doing day-to-day business and so forth, like what are those top essential things, like if you were coaching an agent inside your brokerage or whatever, they're like, hey man, like what are those essential things that I must hit inside my business, have in place, focus on like those fundamental things that I gotta make sure I master and get right, that will allow me to go out there and have success and then scale, especially at the rate that you've been able to scale. Like what are those things to you?
So, I mean, the biggest thing that I think has really allowed me to leverage is obviously a big thing, right? Leverage is huge, but how do you utilize leverage? And how I utilize leverage, if it's a non-income producing activity, I don't touch it. If it's something that's not generating revenue for myself or the business, I really can't spend time. The opportunity cost of me spending time on that is too great. So at the end of the day, my focus is on looking at things that are going to help build the business, help generate top line revenue, and help move things forward. The other thing is focus. During the day, I go into a battlefield. I go into a cage mentally, right? That cage and battlefield is really, at the end of the day, nothing else gets in the way. The blinders go on. I'm focused on my tasks. I'm focused on what I need to do. I make sure that I get I get all my tasks done. I make sure that I'm focused on how do I continue to not only look. Too many agents they have pending deals, and that consumes them. They don't allow themselves to focus on what's really important. What's really important is to make sure that, yes, you service those pending transactions, but you need to be out hunting. You need to be out gathering new business. And that's the part that a lot of folks can't understand.
Yep. Yep. How do you, because even when you have the right leverage, meaning let's just say you got an amazing admin or amazing admin team, how do you control that focus? Because sometimes it can be hard to not allow yourself to get sucked back into those non-money making activities. So what kind of parameters or systems have you put in place for yourself personally, along with your team, to, ensure that you can spend 100% of your time hunting?
So you need to have fail safes, right? So you need to have situations where the admin has someone to report. There has to be direct reports, right? So everyone's not just reporting to you. The other thing is, at the end of the day, there's need to be systems in place for these folks to follow. They have to have ways that you have to have the right people. If you don't have people that can figure it out and have some ability to think on their own, it's going to actually become detrimental to the overall health of what you're looking to do. That's going to become a negative impact, right? So you need to make sure. And I fired a lot of people, and I fired them because it didn't work. They're not bad people, but if you're not giving me what I need to continue to grow as a business, then we need to move on or find another job for you within the organization. So it's definitely a focus on, when you delegate. The other thing, expect nothing. You'll never be disappointed. What I mean by that is sometimes we expect things to be absolutely perfect, which is still hard for me to understand how we can make mistakes. But if I get myself too wound up in the mistakes, and I get myself too wound up in the way that the operate underneath me, then what happens is going to take away from what I'm doing, and it defeats the purpose of delegation.
So then, based on what you just said there, it sounds like, all right, like you've got your systems, processes, and standards in place, but then you're giving them the freedom to kind of operate maybe in their own manner, just making sure that those standards and results and things are still hit. I mean, am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not micromanaging, but at the same time, I'm making sure there's some sort of bar set that they have to live up to. And there's some sort of metrics during the day, and there's some sort of cadence that we have to follow. Like, they know the steps when XYZ happens. We have to do this. And if we're not following those steps, we need to make a change, right? So a change needs to be made. That makes sense?
Yep, 100%, man. And this is a question I get from a lot of, team leaders or I mean, anybody that has admin and staff of, it's one thing when we're developing like those KPIs, when it comes to inspecting what we expect, as you mentioned, those kind of benchmarks and targets, and to know if we're winning or losing on a daily basis, right? Like we said, like with an ISA, it's like, okay, like how many reach outs, how many conversations, how many appointments set, like, sometimes with admin staff, people have a little bit more difficult time with this, right? It's like, okay, like, did the deal get closed on time? Did it go smooth? Right? Which sometimes that's out of their control. What are some of those benchmarks that you have found important? Because look, to be able to do this volume, man, and to, I mean, you got to, number one, make sure that the service is being delivered. And then again, that you're able to keep that focus on hunting. So I'm just curious of how you're able to track that.
So it's more of a qualitative versus quantitative tracking mechanism. We have different deadlines and timelines for everything. So, for example, my admins do specific tasks. So the way I'm set up, right, I have someone that just sets my schedule up. All she does is set my schedule up all day long, whether it's with buyers, listing appointments, sellers, whatever that is. She's responsible for that one task, and then we meet on a daily basis in the morning to go over that. So there's a metric and a catch-all that both of us are looking at 3 days out. So that schedule is not doing 10 different things poorly. They're doing one thing really well, and that's what they're focused on. My accounting department just does accounting. My person who handles my schedule, my showings on the sell side, that's what they do. They handle the showings and the listings, right? So they're handling that end. So there's ways that we check in at the end of every day and the end of every night to make sure that we're getting things done. When we put an offer in, the system is as followed. You send the offer, you text to make sure they got it, you call to follow up to make sure if they don't answer the text, and you email right after. So there's 3 different touch points that we're not going to make sure things fall through the cracks. And in this market, when everything has to move fast and it's all about efficiency and speed, if you're not doing that and it gets caught in someone's spam, you just lost a transaction for your buyer or your seller, and now you're going to lose that, not only that transaction, but you may potentially lose that client.
Yep.
That's how big this is, and that's how deep I think into this stuff. It's mental, it's psychological. It's a big part of this game. Is how do clients perceive the interaction with your team? How does it go from the time they meet me to the time they close, and what does that look like? Is it fluid? Is it difficult? Is it rocky? And that's going to be the telltale if they actually send referrals our way.
Yeah, so if somebody's maybe their systems are lacking, or maybe they don't have any systems, what is your recommendation on the creation of those systems? Meaning, and there's could be multiple different camps on this, but it might, some might have the thought process of, all right, like, look, you need to be involved in that process personally up front until you get it to the point where you understand it, you know exactly how it's done. You can then create those to ensure that admin now is executing on exactly that you want done. And then others are like, no, dude, like, you just go hire the right person and they can build the process. Yeah. Right. What advice would you have there? What's worked really well for you?
So you have to know everything first. You have to know a little bit about everything. When you start, right, it's really hard for me to delegate tasks and different details and things that need to be done if I don't really know what needs to be done. So a lot of agents start to build teams too fast. That's the problem. You're building a team when you don't have enough transactions for one person, never mind 3 or 4. So at the end of the day, how I see it is, get to the point where you're actually only delegating things that aren't client facing. So your first hire, and I know, KW is an admin. My first hire was a runner, right? What a runner did is they go to home inspections, they go to appraisals, they go to water meters, they go to all these different things that they can be at. So it's not taking my time away from things that I don't really need to do that are a time suck. So at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing, is make sure that you understand what you're doing before you try to delegate it to someone else. And if you're going to delegate something you don't understand, get someone in place that can help explain what it is they're supposed to do and how, and what's the procedure if you can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when we look at, like, your I guess your team, your setup today, it sounds like, when you're doing 500 deals a year yourself, right? So it sounds like you're the one going on all the listing appointments, the buyer appointments.
Yep.
Right. Getting a signed client.
Yep.
Then from that point, so is it really just kind of the reverse of a lot of teams, if you will, where they might be agent heavy, where you're more, sounds like you're admin heavy.
I'm support heavy. Support heavy. I'm the opposite. Let me be the rainmaker. But July 2020, I opened a brokerage. I have 120 agents since July. We added 120 agents since July. So we have 120 agent brokerage right now with 7 offices throughout Rhode Island, Mass, and Connecticut. We're looking to be at 200 by the end of the year. I said, look, Kyle is one business. The brokerage is another business. Let's help the agents grow their business for the brokerage, and then while Kyle continues to grow his business. So let's compartmentalize the 2 different things. So there's 2 different ways of growth. I've decided to keep myself. I don't have a team. All I have is myself. That wasn't an Uber. I have a driver. So I have a driver every day. He's with me 7 days a week. I have a scheduler who does my buyer and all my scheduling, like stuff like this. I have 3 transaction coordinators that I actually own that company. So they're 3 transaction coordinators, 3 bookkeepers, a director of operations for the brokerage, right? And then 2 admins for me that split. They work 8-hour shifts, 8 and 8. So that's how I'm set up, is support heavy to allow me to do what I need to do.
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So it's support heavy, but it's driven from me. The top line on my business is me. The rest of the business comes from the agents.
Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, I got in this business in 2005 and started my
Mm-hmm.
team in 2006. And back then there wasn't really it wasn't what it is
Mm-hmm.
today.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no YouTube, there was no podcast. So it's kind of figured this stuff out. And if I could do it all over again, man, it would be building that insane, amazing admin team, maybe still adding like showing agents and whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
that can support myself in production. I mean, it's just such a higher margin, much more profitable business and way to go. And I love that model, man. So then, going back to you, dude, because with that kind of volume, man, and even if you didn't add on the account, the brokerage side of you creating and growing and scaling this massive brokerage, in addition to all of this, right? I got to imagine with 500 deals a year, I mean, you got what, five, I don't know, 10 hours a day of just listing appointments, buyer appointments, client meetings,
All
right?
day.
So I mean that alone is insane. How do you still find time to go out there and hunt? Like what does that look like? Like walk us through what a typical day or typical week looks like when it
So
comes to Kyle's business, not the
so
60 business.
what I've done on my business is really focus on getting in front of as many people as possible. I've even outsourced our lead stuff. So the lead flow comes in. They don't even talk to me anymore. It literally goes to my ISA. He sets the appointment. I just go out on appointments. So I'm just going on appointments, going on appointments, going on appointments. I get in my office at 6:30. I plan for the day. I'm usually out of the office at the first appointment by 9, and then I'm usually not back here till about 8. And that's every day on the road, either appointments with buyers, appointments with sellers, showings with buyers, meeting centers of influence, out for lunch, out for whatever that is. I am in front of someone or something that's going to help me generate future business.
Yeah. At this point, dude, it is with the level of service that you provide, the name that you've made for yourself in your market, and really the whole entire industry, on
Mm-hmm.
a global level now. Now that you've been doing this for a decade,
Mm-hmm.
what's the percentage of your business now that is new business versus sphere of influence, repeat referral?
Good question. 50% sphere, referral, past business. 20% internet leads, right? So you're talking 70% there. 10% miscellaneous stuff. And then the other 20% is probably like lender referred business.
Okay.
So you've got lender referrals that come in. That's 20%. My sphere, my past, and my continuous people that buy and sell and invest. That's 50%. And then you've got the broker, all the leads that we pay for is about 20%.
Yeah, love it, dude. So speaking to your sphere, right? Sphere, past client, repeat referral business. I guess those are all the same bucket there, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the key, dude? I mean, because we know the NAR stats. I mean, this is the gold, and this is where. I mean, if you look at that's 250 deals
Mm-hmm.
just last year of people calling you up saying, "Kyle, I want to work with you."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they already know they want to work with you. They already sold on you. They've already had a past experience or a hot, referral
Right.
that this is the guy. What has been the key to building that and having such a high percentage of your business year over year, especially as you get so busy, it's so easy to neglect that too.
I treat every client like they're my only client. I'm attentive as hell. I always answer the phone. I always answer text. I don't leave any email within 20. I answer every single email the day it comes in. I don't go to bed with any emails outstanding. Every text message gets answered instantaneously. Every phone call gets returned. Every voicemail gets returned. I have a voicemail system where there's a VA that answers the voicemails for me. It is a function of pure customer service and pure knowledge. I'm a student of this game. I know real estate in, out, sideways, every which way. Investing, flipping, regular mom, pop, wholesale, foreclosures, short sales, probate, regular, move up, move down, trade down, whatever that looks like. Based on the number of transactions, I've been there, done that, seen it. But the one biggest thing is I work with my clients, not against my clients. I am a huge believer in working as a team. I will take a hit. If the client takes a hit, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that at the end of that transaction, matter of fact, here's a good example. This is a perfect example. I got the flat tire today. I had a closing at 1 o'clock. My schedule was really simple. I had an appointment at 12:15, need to be at the closing at 1. Flat tire happens at 12:50. Now the closing, I call the buyer and seller. I was on both ends. I call the buyer and seller and I say, hey guys, look, unfortunately I had a flat tire. I'm not gonna be able to get there in time. I can sense that the seller is a little upset. I say, okay, no problem. I'll do the best I can. And he's kind of upset I'm not gonna be there. We get the tire fixed. We go to the closing. I make it. I see him. He's so happy. He's so glad that I went. So it's being able to if I didn't go, there's the possibility that that seller is like, oh, I wish he went. He could, that guy, he didn't show up at the closing, whatever. But I could sense in his voice that there was some sort of holdback that he wanted me to be there, and I had to make a change and adjust. So hence I had to go to the closing, stop by, showed face, talked to them. They were really happy. Everything went copacetic. So that's where you have to understand how important. Now that guy sold 2 houses with me. That's the second house he sold through me. The buyer in that closing started to cry. She was so happy. That's the kind of stuff why we do this. And that's the difference of me getting 1 deal or 1 deal turning into 5 deals is the emotion and the impact that we have on these people. And now every deal is not like that, right? Every deal is definitely, some deals are in, we bang it out and keep it moving, right? That's the investor stuff. But these are regular people that want to buy and sell real estate. And that's the referral piece.
Yeah, I love that, dude. And just to circle back to, because I want to make sure that anybody that's watching or listening to this doesn't, that they fully understand, I guess, what you were saying when you were saying that, hey, look, I always answer my phone. I always answer my texts, right? Well, when you're in meetings for 10, 12 hours a day, you can't always answer your phone. But it sounds like the way I took that is, it's maybe not be you, but they are always getting the help and the support that they need, whether it's from you or your amazing staff that is trained and knows what to do. So they're always getting somebody in the service and the help and the support that they need.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. And my staff knows, and it's cliche, right? The customer always comes first. The client's always right. But we believe it. Like if I'm wrong, what do I win by being right? Right? I mean, if I'm right, rather, what do I win by being right? I don't win anything. Right? If I'm right and the client's wrong, let's work together and figure out how we can make this thing work. Right? So by not having, and the other thing is my schedule, and this is going to go against everything they tell you in every real estate, my schedule revolves around my clients. My best clients, my 2 daughters. That's my best client. And they're in my schedule every single day. I know if they have events, I coach basketball, softball, soccer, I go to swim, karate, everything. But those are my best clients. And guess what I do? From there, I schedule everything else. Everything gets scheduled around that. So I don't miss anything. So it's the ability to understand your top clients and schedule around that, whatever that looks like.
Yep. I love that, dude. So then, all right, man, you get to the finish line with them. You went above and beyond to make this an amazing experience. All the things that you just talked about. Mm-hmm. Is that enough, or is there things that you do post that? Because it might be a decade or 7 years or whatever before they buy and sell again, or they, right? I mean, are there other things that you have found are really important with that, keeping that relationship alive after the fact?
Okay, so one thing I do a really good job is I do a lot of video. Do a lot of video on Facebook. I do a lot of video to my database. I do a lot of email. I have an investor list that's 550 people deep. These are repeat investors that buy and sell multiple properties through me. They get hit probably 3 to 4 times a week with different add value properties that I have. The other thing is I have, we send out mailers, we do calls, we do texts, we do all these different things to stay in front of people. But my social media is where I really want to stay in front of you. I'm going to boost, I'm going to video, I'm going to do still shots, I'm going to do stories, I'm going to do whatever it takes to really get that, to really get in front of you, and you to never, ever forget me, ever.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the effectiveness of it, dude, is there's no better way other than face-to-face, but
Correct.
For social media, man, to keep those deep relationships, to, keep that reminder, man, it's awesome, dude. So then, dude, I'm curious now too. So you're doing all this, continue to grow and expand this. And at the same time, not only did you do 500 deals last year, you started a brokerage, added 120 plus agents to it, right? Multiple locations. Now you're scaling to 200. Is that getting your focus? I shouldn't say your focus, but your time as well, or is that something that you just have an amazing?
No, the brokerage, we split the day. I spent half my day really focused on getting the brokerage up and running and started and going, and then the other half is focused on selling. So we're really super focused on being able to really grow to. I talked about setting the day in 3 sets of 8, right? Three sets of 8-hour intervals, and that's how I operate, right? So somehow, some way, I'm hitting 8 to 10 hours on my own business. Somehow, some way, I'm going to hit about 8 hours on the brokerage, and then the other 8 hours is what it is, whether I sleep or whatever that looks like. So it's really that cognizant focus on two forms of business that both are in the same circle, but both need the same amount of energy and effort. And whether it's from me or someone that I've hired to help operate, that 8 hours is going to come from somewhere.
Yep. Yep. What, because again, man, we have a lot of team leaders, a lot of brokerage owners that listen to this podcast. And, recruiting is a difficult thing for a lot of them. And most brokerages stay small, right? They have a difficult time with that. What has really been working for you to allow you to accelerate this such rapid growth inside the brokerage?
So we're never going to be a brokerage that's stagnant. I don't run my business stagnant. We have lead programs. I have a coaching program. We have training seminars. I give trainings on my own. We have 7 offices that have their own individual events. We have opportunities for you to be part of our Bulldog group, our Bulldog team. We have opportunities for you to get on our cold calling team. So we're not just going to be a brokerage where we say, good luck, hi, bye. I will continue to grow. I will continue to learn, and I will continue to provide the best service for our agents so that they can produce and increase production. And that's at the end of the day why I think we're so different. And thankfully and gratefully, I was able to get to a point where I was a nationally ranked real estate agent, which makes the recruiting a little easier.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that does help. I'm going to call it like it is. Out of the 120, I didn't recruit any of them. I never went out and actually I haven't even actively recruited anyone yet. So I figure we'll get to 200 similarly. And then after that, we'll have to start recruiting.
Yep. Yeah, that's dude. I mean, it's look. You've mastered your craft. Now you got people chasing you versus chasing them. Right?
Correct.
Not just from what's inside your brain, but then also
it is.
They've got that aspect of holy shit. Like I want to be around Kyle, success through osmosis. I want to have access to his knowledge. But then also, like, you haven't also just relied on that. Right? Like, you have looked at your unique selling proposition as a brokerage, right? Like, you guys are making sure that you have such a far superior product of what is available out there for anybody else in your area or maybe just in existence. And again, that's, you don't have to necessarily sell a product that crushes everything else that exists out there. Right.
So at the end of the day, we provide a place for a team. We provide a place for a managing partner. We provide a place for an individual. We provide a place for a part-timer. We provide a place for a newbie. You come here and I'm actively involved in everything. It's like, you're not getting that. You're going to get a broker owner who hasn't sold real estate in 10 years. You're getting the top real estate agent in the country that's your broker owner. What's up?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the question. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah. Love it, dude. Love it, man. So do you see a time though, where in the future where, I always ask this when people have multiple businesses of, do you feel pulled more to one versus the other? I mean, do you see yourself, at one point going more like less personal selling and more expand the brokerage and being able to, coach and support and train agents to help them grow their business? I mean, do you long term, do you see yourself going more one way than the other?
Yeah, I'm not there yet though. I'm not there yet. We've always said, when I started the brokerage, some of my ops guys and my right-hand people, we said, here's the goal. Right now it's this, right? So Kyle's here, brokerage is here. That's what we need to get.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're here, right? So we need to figure out how to get to that point. So that's what we're trying to do, but that's years and years away. I still get a rise and a high out of selling. I love to sell. I love to be around people. I love to help people. I love to help people buy and sell real estate. I still get excited when a new client calls me and says, "Hey, I got your name from so and so. I'm looking to sell my house." I'm pumped. I'm like it through the roof ecstatic. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'll be there in 10 minutes. When you want to see me? When are we going to meet? So that's still where I'm at right now. So until it's like that basketball player who, and I used to play basketball, so I relate a lot to that. It's like that basketball player who still gets excited before game time. The tip's about to go off and they're excited. They're excited, they're nervous, they're pumped up. You still got that fire in your belly. You can't quit.
Yeah.
You can't quit till that fire goes away. And if that fire goes away, you've got to reallocate to something else.
Yeah. It's like, have you read Tim Grover's Relentless?
No.
So Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's,
trainer.
Yeah.
It was his trainer. It was his guy. That's what I thought.
And then also, Kobe Bryant, like, the best of the best, right? But he talks about those guys being, I can't remember, I think the term that he uses for, and there's only a select few of them, but I think he calls them coolers. But he's like, look, man, they when they're done, they'll decide when they're done. But
Correct.
It's not until they decide. Like same with Tom Brady. Dude, like
Correct.
Patriots might have thought he was done. Nope, he fucking was like, screw you guys.
Correct. And a lot of people told me that. They're like, just like, what else you got to do? Like, why are you still doing? I'm not done. Not even close. Like, let me figure out when I'm done. Not when you tell me I'm done. I'll tell you when I'm done, and then we'll go from there. And it's that mentality. It is that relentless mentality that, to beat me and be better than me, you're gonna have to kill me. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'd have to quit. I have to say I quit. And that's where it comes down to.
Love it, dude. So what do you do to, and maybe this never happens, I don't know, but what do you do in times where you're like, you're either burnout or you're sensing that and you're like, you just need to recharge. Yeah, right. I mean, you talk about spending that great daily time with your daughters and, but what are other things that you do? Because sometimes, man, you just gotta recharge those batteries and so forth.
So I love to spend time with my kids. Definitely do that, and that's time where I'm present, and I think that's important. Being present with them, not having the phone, being present with them, not being on the phone, not being on text, whatever. That is essentially where I'm at with that. So that's a good time. I shut it down Sunday night at a certain time and I don't touch the phone. I'll take a little getaway here and there. I'll head out for, like, I just came back from the Super Bowl. So I just went to that. So came back from that. When I feel like I'm getting overworked or I'm going to burn out, I'll hire someone else because there's a reason I shouldn't be doing. There's something I'm doing I shouldn't be doing. And I don't get burnt out when I'm doing things I like. I get burnt out when I'm doing shit I don't like.
Yeah.
That's when I know I'm getting, and I haven't been, honestly, in the last 2 years, I haven't felt burnt out at all. The first 8 years, I would feel like I was going to blow my brains out for 8 years straight. But I've learned to hire. I've hired good people. I've surrounded myself with good people. I've taken a different mentality. And now I'm still able to operate at a super high level, but don't have the burnout risk. And that's a big game changer.
Yeah.
That's a change.
So, you talked earlier about when you're hiring and delegating out, like making sure it's on, the essential, important, but non-money making activities. Yeah. Right. But then now it's become a part of your strategy. It sounds like now over the last couple of years of, not just about that, but even if it is a money making activity, if it's not something you're truly passionate about that you want to do, like even letting those go, is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally getting it. Okay, here's what we need to do. Passionate. Here's what we need to do. Passionate. Pass, and just giving assists left and right. But yeah, at the end of the day, income generating activities that are enjoyable to me, I should say, whatever that is to you. And here's the other thing: a lot of people don't understand. Well, they may want to be you, they may want to be me, but at the end of the day, you can only be yourself. I can never be Joshua. I can't be you. You and I don't tick the same. We don't have the same desires, the wants, the wills, the needs, whatever. We don't have the same background. We'll never be. So if I try, this guy's from my point in the beginning, I need to be the best version of me. I can't be you. If I try to be someone I'm not, I'm never going to get to the end goal. And so many people try to be something they're not. They need to find their niche, whatever that is. You need to find your goals. Your goals shouldn't be 500 transactions. It should be 30. It should be 50. It should be 100. Let's make realistic goals that we can achieve.
Yeah. Well, and then also do the negative things that happen from comparison, right? Like if you look at social media and the rate of increased suicides and right, like so many people just in that comparison of my life should be like theirs, and man, it's just such
and perception's not reality, man. Like people that you see on, like, that's Facebook happy. That's not real life happy. Like all that stuff's not real. You got to be able to understand. All I compare myself to is me. That's it. I know if I'm doing what I can do. I'm honest with myself. I'm truthful with myself. If I'm lying to myself, I know it. If I'm bullshitting myself, I know it. Too many people are so worried about what the other guy's doing that they're trying to, like, what does that matter? I'm not trying to look at what this agent's doing and do. No, I'm looking at what I'm doing. How can I do this better? What can I do better?
So, in life, dude, it's because we're domesticated and such a way of, as an example, right? Like as young kids, like we learn at an early age, okay, if mom and dad are happy, life is good. Yeah, right. So I start doing things to make mom and dad happy and please mom and dad. Right. Then that carries over. We get in school. Okay. Learn those things for our teachers, for our coaches. And so, the first 18 years of our life, we're domesticated and conditioned to make all these other people happy. And life is good for us, right? The second that we make them unhappy, life can be, a little bit more difficult and painful. Then you're told, okay, at 18 years old, go figure it out. Yeah, right now you're going like, right. So with that being said, a lot of people are like, dude, I don't know who I am. I don't know what
100%. I didn't know who I was until a few years ago. To be honest, if I want to be honest, you know why? Because we all grew up to make everybody else happy. My whole life, I was living to make somebody else happy. My parents came from a background where you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to go to high school, you're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to get a job. I didn't do that because I hated every day. From 9 in the morning till 9:10, it felt like 7 hours. From 9:10 to 5, it felt like 4 million years. Those were the worst years of my life. But guess what? Everyone around me was happy. That's what you're supposed to do. Everyone around me was saying this is what you're supposed to do. So think about if I didn't find my niche. Think about if I didn't find my way, find who I was or what I wanted to do. I would have lived my entire life regretting everything. I wouldn't have been here.
How did
I would have
you
went
find
to,
it?
huh?
How did you find it?
Yeah, it was hard, man. It was hard. It was really hard. I tried any. I knew the 9 to 5 wasn't for me. And every time I would be like, hey, I want to open this, or I want to try that, or I want to do this, my immediate family would be like, no, that's not, like, you didn't go to school for that. Like, we went to, you know what I mean? You went to school, you went to high school, and I went to a small school and played basketball there and whatever. And it wasn't like an extravagant, expensive. We didn't have money like that. It was just, I went to school. So you go to college and you're supposed to get a job. And I was like, something's off here, man. Like, this ain't right. Like, this isn't life. Life isn't living feeling like you're a slave to someone else. So I started to find out, like, what do I like? And I'll never forget, I met this guy who always had a ton of money on him. I was like, what is that guy? I would ask my dad, like, what does he do? He's always got a wad of cash. Like, what does this guy do? And he's like, he owns a lot of real estate, man. That guy's loaded. I'd be like, why can't me? Why can't that be me? Like, why not me? So I learned the BRRRR strategy very early on, and I started doing that, and I added a couple properties, and now I have over 100 plus units, and I've sold a bunch, and I've got 55 flips going. I'm addicted to this, man. I'm addicted to the process. I'm addicted to success. I'm addicted to the ability to have no ceiling. I'm addicted to the ability to just go right through whatever it is and not let somebody tell me I can't do it. I've been around a lot of stuff. A lot of people told me you'll never do this, you'll never do that, you're not good at this, you're not good at that. Let me figure that out.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, because a lot of people, I can relate, a lot of younger people that are living in that situation, they're forced into that 9 to 5, and you're forcing a square peg in a circle hole, and that does not work. Every day I hated it. Every single day I could not stand going to work. Now I make more than every single one of those jackasses that wouldn't give me the job, and they can kiss my you know what. But I'm going to continue to go forward and continue to focus on what got me here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the powerful thing and the important thing is, I mean, most people just stay in that rut. They bitch, moan, and complain and whatever. But you have the awareness to reflect on it, right, and think about it, and ask those right questions. And you mentioned it was hard and it took a long time, but it led you to the right path, and that's awesome, dude. So I know we're going long on time. So a couple last questions here for you. So if Kyle today, knowing everything now today through all of this experiences, like the successes as well as the massive hardcore learning lessons that we go through in the success journey. But if Kyle today could go and have a conversation with Kyle 10 years ago, yeah, right. Like, I don't know, like you're all of a sudden standing on the street 10 years ago and you see the Back to the Future DeLorean pull up, dude. And all of a sudden yourself pops out 10 years from the future, right. And you're like, all right, man, like future's going to be amazing. Future's going to be bright, dude. You can't even fathom how great it's going to be. However, you need to, do these things, and then you need to stop doing these things, right? What would those pieces of advice that you wished you would have known and executed on, and or stop doing or whatever, when you first started this journey that would have you, 5, 10, 100x of further ahead than where you are today?
Stop living for other people. Stop doing what everyone around you wants. Stop believing in limitations that people set on you that don't exist. Start believing in yourself. Start listening to yourself. Trust your intuition. There honestly is no limit if you put the right time, effort, and energy into something. But don't bullshit yourself. If you really believe it and you really have a passion for it, the only reason you fail is on you. And there's no such thing as losses. There's no such thing as failure. It's all lessons. But at the end of the day, you get one life. You either take advantage of it or you'll regret it.
Yeah. Powerful stuff, dude. Love it, man. All right, dude. So I mean, you're all over the state now with your, I think you said, what, you got 7 locations?
Offices. Yep.
Yep. Are you planning on expanding out of the state too?
Oh, yeah. We're going to rock and roll. We're just getting started.
Yep.
We're just getting started.
Love that, man. So, for anybody that's watching, listening, man, I mean, we have, real estate agents, team leaders, broker owners from all, I shouldn't even say all over North America, man. I think sometimes I'll go on our analytics and I'll see, countries I never even heard of where we have listeners and so forth. But with that being said, dude, if anybody that's watching or listening wants to continue following you, watching the success journey, maybe they have a referral, somebody that's moving to your market and have a referral for you or one of your agents, right? Or they're interested in joining your amazing brokerage, and, or maybe they're interested in having a conversation with you about maybe, expanding your brokerage into their market, whatever that may be, man. Like, where are the best place or places for people to go do those stuff at?
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google my name, search it. I come up, Kyle Seyboth, the Seyboth team, either or, find me on there. We do a lot of content stuff. I'm a firm believer in free content. I'm a firm believer in adding value, stories every day. I do a live video every morning. It's a motivational video for anyone and everyone that's looking to kind of motivate themselves. And it's just talking about real stuff. You can always call me or text me. I don't know if you want me to give you my number. It's fine with me. I get a million phone calls a day. What's 1,000,001?
Yep. Love it, man. So, and to make it easy on everybody, if you just scroll below, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, if you just scroll below in the notes, we're going to have all of Kyle's social media links,
Perfect.
Websites, email. If Kyle wants to give us his phone number, we can put that in there too. If he wants to be that brave, we'll have all that below to make it super easy on all of you, everybody watching, listening. Man, Kyle, dude, I know how busy you are and how precious your time is. And the fact that you took time out of your busy day to be here, man, just truly means a lot. It's been a massive honor, my friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And hopefully that was helpful and hopefully adds value to some other people and gives them some insight on some stuff that we could add value to. So thank you so much.
Yeah, 100%. And you 100% nailed it, man. It's going to those watching and listening. As always, truly appreciate all your support. Truly appreciate you guys being here. Keep up the amazing work. Keep kicking ass, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
I hope you enjoyed this GSD Mode podcast episode. Now make sure you get shit done and smash that subscribe button now.